Welcome to Gather In, where you'll hear stories of conversion to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you have an interesting story to tell, please go to our Instagram page or send us an email to gatherin@proton.me. Welcome everybody to today's special edition of the Gather In podcast. I say special because it's been a little while since we've actually done a full interview. We've been doing lots of little things along the way, but our guest today, Christina Stark, contacted me via Instagram and asked if she could come on our podcast today. And I said, yes, wonderful. Please, let's do it. So welcome, Christina.
Yeah.
And Christina is from Alabama, but she's recently
hmm
returned from serving in the Salt Lake Temple Square mission. So
hmm
uh, that can be a bit of a surprise being called to the Salt Lake Temple Square mission. Tell us before we introduce you and your family. Can you just tell us how you felt when you received your mission call? Tell us the circumstances around opening a call and everything, and how you felt.
Yeah, I would love to. At first I was really confused. I do remember that I was going to open my mission call, but my mom has done this with every child. She goes and she's like, "Oh, let's invite all the board members and everyone to like see you open your mission call." And I was like, "Okay, okay." It's like, "But can I like open it by myself first so I don't have a like scowl on my face or a bad reaction?" I go with my mom in the car and I open with her in the car and then she predicts, she's like, "Oh, well, like it would be so cool if you got called to the Salt Lake Temple Square mission. Like that'd be so like amazing." I was like, "Oh yeah, maybe, yeah, sure." So I open my call and it's like I open it and it's like, "You are called to serve in the Salt Lake City Temple Square mission in the English language." And I was like, uh oh. Okay. And I was really confused. I was like, I don't think there's any missionary work there, but it's probably all members, but I was really wrong. That was my reaction initially.
Yeah. Had you spent much time in Utah at all? You've been there for holidays and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. I'm
But
sorry,
not.
what was your question?
Had you been to? Have you been to Utah much before? Have you spent much time there on family holidays or anything?
Uh, a little, not much, honestly. There
Yeah.
wasn't that much that I knew about Utah. I just knew that it was a state in the United States, and that's where our church was founded, the headquarters of the church. And then all I know is, oh, I'm getting called to the Temple Square mission, Salt Lake. Hmm,
There you go.
interesting.
Off to sell ice to off to sell ice to the Eskimos, huh? That's what you thought?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. Look, wherever you serve as a missionary, it doesn't matter where you serve. You've been called to serve as a
Yeah.
missionary and you're assigned to a certain area. Sometimes that assignment can change, as we know through the COVID period, 2020 to 2022, roughly thereabouts. People were getting moved around all over the place because of the restrictions in different countries and the danger and all that sort of thing. So, in a way, it doesn't matter where you serve. You just make the most of wherever it is that you are called to serve. So,
Mhm.
Christina, tell me a little, or tell us all a little bit about your family, because I
Mhm.
think I think from what you said, you come from a long line of missionaries. So tell us who in your family, going back as far as you can think, who has served as a missionary.
Oh, that's a long question. A
Is
long
it?
question. Yeah.
Okay.
So, my both of my grandparents served missions. My mom and my dad served missions. My mom served in Bristol, England, and my dad served in Flagstaff, or I think it was Phoenix, Arizona. Then my both of my I have one older sister and one older brother and two other older sisters. All of my siblings have served missions. And then I was the last missionary to serve. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you were just forced into it, were you, Christina? Is that right?
Well, not real. I mean, I kind of just because I grew up in the church my whole life, my family taught me the gospel.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of just followed along when I was younger and a teenager. There
Yeah.
also came a point where I had to I kind of relied on my um parents' testimonies, but then there came a point where I was needing to find my own testimony. So, yeah.
Yeah. So can you describe how you felt during that time? Because obviously,
Mm,
I think a lot of people outside the church have this misconception that, oh, the church just forces all these kids to go and serve as missionaries. You're made to do it, and if you don't do it, you're in big trouble and that sort of thing. That
yeah.
that that obviously is not the case. But as
Yeah.
far as gaining your own testimony is concerned, what was it? What was going on in your life that sort of made you realize that you have to be a stronger person yourself, and you realize that God really is there.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah, so I was going through a hard time in my middle school years because I was being bullied. Kids are mean in middle school. And I was being bullied a lot and I went through a really hard time. And so my parents were doing the best they could to help me, which was very nice of them because, they're my parents. They want the best for me.
Sure.
But there came a point that they couldn't really do as much as they thought that they could do. I don't know how to describe that, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then I was like, I really need help and I don't know what to do. So then I remember just like my parents teaching me about how prayer works and stuff. And I was like, I know that my parents have told me that God is real, but I don't know if God is real. Like, I know they say it. They say the Book of Mormon is true. I don't know if the Book of Mormon is true. So then I go and I was like, maybe I should try praying and see how it goes. And if it works, okay, or whatever happens. So then I go and I kneel down one day by my bed and I pray and I say, Heavenly Father, I don't know if you're there. My parents have told me that you're there, but I want to know for myself if you're actually there. And I remember distinctly that this peace that comes over me, that he was there and I felt his love for me um, and it was just the first time that I ever felt that strong of a feeling in my life through all my life.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Having been through that, do you think that you might have felt that feeling earlier a little bit in your life, maybe not so intensely, but perhaps didn't
Yeah.
recognize it. Perhaps you
I
didn't realize what was going on,
I
maybe.
I yeah, I feel like when I was younger, I did feel something, but I didn't know like recognize it. I was just like kind of just like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's just something, but I don't really know what it is or something, and I didn't really maybe I didn't recognize it, but honestly, I was too like in my like younger teenage years, like younger before I was a child. I don't know how to describe the age range,
Yeah.
but like I was just, oh, I want to fit in and I want to be popular and be the cool kids, like the normal
Mm.
kid middle school stuff. And I was just like, I just want to, I didn't really focus on like godly like stuff for like you would want, like your like spiritual like like self. And I think I just didn't recognize it or I just didn't care.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but it's interesting, and it must have been, pretty difficult going through that time of being bullied at school. So
Hmm.
it is wonderful that you can feel that love from Heavenly Father and through the Saviour, and those feelings come through the power of the Holy Ghost. And it's amazing how much better you can feel, isn't it, when you feel that
Yeah.
you're on the Lord's team. A lot of
Yeah.
people, often hear a lot of people say, "Oh, God's on my side," and I think, well, yeah, look, he might be on your side, but what's actually more important is that you're on his side.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
so going through your teenage years after that experience, I guess, did the bullying suddenly stop, or was it really just your ability to handle it that changed? How do you feel about that? Can you remember?
I do remember it took me a long time to forgive those bullies. Long
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And I was going through after that school year of I think it was eighth grade. I don't remember. But it was like it took me a long time, but then I finally, Heavenly Father helped me have a perspective on the whole thing as
Yeah.
I prayed about it. And he helped, and I was able to heal and forgive. And I don't even think about that experience anymore. But when I do talk about it, it's something that's necessary. And I'm not like, oh, I'm so upset. Like, it's just something that has happened, but I do not feel upset about it. But I do remember at the time when I went through that, I was so upset that I could not from what they did to me. And I do remember that after that experience, I started questioning a lot of things about like after like if the Book of Mormon is true or if any of this is true. And I started to question a lot of things and I prayed about it a lot and I studied the scriptures and I was able to find that they were true and I gained my own testimony of the Book of Mormon and all of these things in the gospel. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, in a way, maybe those bullies did you a favor because it made you a stronger person at the end of the day, do you think?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, look, I think, teenage years can be very difficult for some people.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and it is a matter of sort of, you know, toughening up. I don't know if that's the right word, but we need to gain strength as we're growing up so that we can cope with adulthood. And I'm sure there are things that you went through then that helped you as you served as a missionary. So perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about how you actually decided to become a missionary, because not everyone does. Not every young lady, not every young man in the church decides to become a missionary. What were your thought processes then?
Well, I wanted to know if I should serve a mission first
Sure,
because I was like, oh, my parents and siblings have done it, so I don't know if I should just serve just because they served. That's not a really good reason. Or it is a good reason, but also you need to have your own testimony about it.
sure.
Um, but um I thought about it a lot actually during I think it was like when I was 16 or it was my junior year of high school. And I was like, I don't know, I really don't. And so then I was like, maybe I should pray about it. Then I start and I go and I pray about it and then I was studying my scriptures one day and I was reading in the Doctrine and Covenants and I got it was like one of the scriptures that talks about to preach the gospel in all nations. And I felt this peace and this thought in my mind that was like, you need to serve the Lord, and there's people who you serve a mission that will need you. And I was like, oh, okay, I will serve a mission. And it was not only because of that answer, is because of the experiences that I've had in my life and how I wanted others to feel the love of the Savior like I did. And I decided, I think it was my senior year of high school, I started my papers and then got called after, I think it was so crazy. It was my graduation day and my mission call at the same day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and and
That's
I
a
got
bit,
my
that's a
mission
big
call.
day, yeah.
Yeah, and I got my mission call the same day as when I graduated. So after graduation, I changed out my graduation timing down and came home and opened my mission call in front of all my family and friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was after the sneak preview you had about where you were going.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. So you mentioned then that as you're reading the Doctrine and Covenants about preaching the gospel to all the world, and the thought came to your mind that there were people who you would have some special influence on, perhaps, or people waiting for you, or something. So I asked you when we spoke the other day if you could, tell us a few stories
Hmm.
from serving on Temple Square, and people that you got to meet and teach and progress towards becoming members of the church. Um,
Yeah.
could you start with one story there, and let's see how that story goes, and see see what other wonderful
Yeah.
stories you have to tell us. So what story would you like to tell us first about serving as a missionary
Yeah.
on Temple Square?
Yes, I would love to. I'm going to start with some background. So
Sure.
some misconceptions that people have on Temple Square about a lot of things is like it's just a tour guide, and I was like, no. So actually we teach people online and in person. So we go on the computer. I think it's like an hour or two every day to teach people online. And so we would every day, me and my companion, it's called a teaching center. We go in and we pick up like requests to learn about the gospel. We call them blue books. And we pick them up and we're like, we saw you wanted to learn about more about the gospel. Like, would you want to learn with us? And they say, yeah. Or if they're really mean, they're gonna say, no, go away. No. But I remember this one day I was at the teaching center with my companion and I picked up this blue book and it was a really weird number. I was like, this is interesting number from a different country and it's weird looking, but I'll pick it up. So
Okay.
I pick up the blue book and it says, I want to meet with missionaries and I want to learn about the church and stuff. And I was like, and under it is like from Uganda, Africa, or Tanzania or something like that. And I was like, oh, cool. So I pick up this number and I call him and we have little headsets and we're like, hi, we're missionaries for Church Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. We saw that you wanted to meet with missionaries. Would you like to meet with us or something like that? And he was like, oh, yes, I've been waiting for you for such a long time. I want to know about God. I was like, oh, perfect. And so we started after that call. And during that call, we talked to him about God and the Godhead. And right away, he was so receptive. And he was like, I've been investigating your church and all this stuff. And we were so happy because he was so willing. And once after that call, we was like, okay, we'll meet with you again on Tuesday or something like that. And so then we set up a lesson with him and we had um, more lessons with him. And even during those lessons, you could see the light in his face as even like each time um, he read the Book of Mormon in a week. And I was like, whoa.
Wow. That's something not a lot of people do.
Yeah.
We're talking about a pretty thick book here, you know.
Yeah, I was like, how did you read that in a week? And he read it. He was like, everyone should know about this. I was like, yeah, that's true. And we started talking more about prophets and things, and I just saw his life completely change. And then at the end, like we did more lessons with him, and he was like, I'm gonna teach this to all my family. So then he goes and he teaches his entire family about what he's been learning with us.
Right.
It's so cool. And then he was like, and we taught him more, and then we like the process of helping him to be baptized and stuff. And then we are like, we invite you to be baptized. Would you like to do that? And he was like, yes, yes, I would love to. And you could just, because it was online. And so we watched the baptism through like the little screen, Zoom screen.
Sure.
And you can just see like after his baptism, you see his face and it lit up. And he's like, thank you, my sisters, for everything. I feel so much joy. And you could just see his like how he loved the gospel so much. And not a lot of people that investigate the church are like that. They are not like that at all, or some people at least. I'm not saying all, but some
Yeah.
people don't ever do that. And it was
Mm.
so cool. And me and my he was like one of our golden people. And we
He
were like,
was. Can I ask, was this fairly early on in your mission, or was this later?
it was in the middle of my mission. It was
Yeah.
like I was in like my halfway point.
Okay.
And it was like, and I was like, when I
Should.
got this, because I was having a hard time with like people being like, no, I don't want to learn about your church. You guys are gonna lead people the wrong way. I was like, I promise we're not, but it's okay. But at this point, like I've been praying for a long time for someone to actually want to know about the church, and I was like, my prayer has been answered because this guy is, he's so willing. He read a
Yeah.
Book of Mormon in a week.
And
And it
was
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 so
was
cool.
was, was he fortunate enough to be close to a branch or a ward of the church in Africa?
He was. He
He
was
was.
very fortunate to be able to, and we were not physically there,
Mm.
but we actually got to see him and the missionary. I think they were elders who baptized him. Um, and we saw him because the elders actually joined lessons with us many times, and it was really cool to see that too. And just how much he changed. It was so cool to see like his willingness and
Yeah.
his like hunger for the gospel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Look, I think, finding someone like that on your mission, it may only happen once. It it
yeah.
it might not happen at all. I mean,
Yeah.
you're just so fortunate that that happened, and let's just hope that young man, I'm assuming he was a young man for some reason, but was he a
Yeah.
young guy? You know,
Yeah, he was.
hopefully his stayed strong, and he's become a pillar of the church. Have you heard at all about his family? He was going to teach his he was
Yeah.
he was going
Yeah,
to
his
teach
family.
he was going to
Yeah.
teach his family, and did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, I did. So when we were teaching the lessons to him, his mom joined one of the lessons. It was actually we were teaching, I can't remember what lesson we were teaching. I think it must have been like about like the gospel or something like that. And he was like, my mom wants to join. Is that okay? I was like, yeah. And so we got to teach we got to teach his mom and his siblings too. It was so cool. And got to know about his family, and his family's amazing. They're so cool.
Yeah,
Um and it was so amazing to see that they were also willing, and we invited them to I think it was like pray or read the Book of Mormon, and they're like, yes, Robinson, his name's Robinson. Robinson has told us all about this, and he's been reading us the Book of Mormon. I was like, wow. And so they all just like his family and everyone are just so like hungry for this because they've been searching for this for such a long time. And so,
Fantastic. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. I know, in certain countries in Africa, the church is growing very, very
yeah,
strongly, very quickly. So, and I'm sure, it will change the lives of a lot of people, excuse me, accepting the gospel and
yeah.
becoming members of the church. So, tell us about some of the other people you might have met on Temple Square. So that was that referral from Robinson. That was, I guess we'd call that a social media referral in Australia. Usually, someone's clicked on a link in Facebook or on Instagram or something,
Yeah,
and that comes through via the system to
yeah,
to missionaries who can teach them. What about people that you met actually on Temple Square? People coming through Temple
yeah.
Square. Do you have any circumstances there where you met some people who are really keen to learn more?
Yes. So I think it was almost my second to last transfer. I think it was, I can't remember. I'm trying
So,
to remember things and it's not working. But he was from China. He actually was from China. And
sure.
the and the not I don't think many like you can't get baptized in China. You can't like learn about the church in China. So
It's difficult. Yeah.
we it's difficult.
Yeah.
And so um we were we met him in the tabernacle, I think. Yes, we met him in the tabernacle. And we're in Temple Square, we're assigned different places.
Sure.
So we are usually in an assignment for 2 hours or three, or in the conference center in 1 hour or two. And we were in the tabernacle and we were just walking around talking to people, and we met him. And one of the sisters, or I think it was before we met him, we were just walking around trying to figure out who to talk to. One of the senior couple missionaries says there's someone who really wants to learn more, and he's from China. My companion spoke Mandarin, so we ran to go find him.
Okay.
He was outside the tabernacle. He was like outside of the tabernacle, like right by uh the temple construction is.
Oh, yeah.
And we went and we met him, and um we were like, "Hi, we're the missionaries. We heard you wanted to learn more." And he's like, "Yes, I want to know more about the church." And so we started having a conversation with him about um, who God was, because many people in China don't even have um, they don't have even a belief in God. They just believe in that they're just here. And so we started like we were like, this is who God is and stuff like that. And he was like, that makes so much sense. And so we started teaching him more of the things, and he kept coming back to Temple Square. He came back many times. He would find us and he's like, I want to know more. Teach me, teach me. We're like, okay. And so we go and we have a lesson with him. And um we taught him about the law of chastity in the Book of Mormon, and he read the Book of Mormon and he really loved it, and he was able to gain his own testimony about it. And um, we took him to music in the spoken word. He loved that. He loved music in the spoken word. He was like, I can feel the spirit. I can feel something here. I was like, yeah, that's the spirit. And we were able to teach him about the Holy Ghost, and I saw like how he was able to see the light more in his eyes, because before something was there that he needed more. And so we were able to find that, like he was able to find that as he gained that testimony, as we taught him. Then we invited him and we saw him make that promise into the covenant of baptism. And we got to go to his baptism, and it was really amazing because we got to see that promise that he made, and he was so happy. And he's now a very strong member of the church. And so he's very amazing. And so those are just another one of the people that was on Temple Square. Well, not online, but on Temple Square.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's awesome. So this young man from China, why was he living? It seems that he was actually living already in Salt Lake City, was he?
He was visiting.
Yeah.
And so he was just like, yeah, I'm here for a trip, but I kind of can't go back to China because I want to know about the church. But if I go back to China, then I don't know. There's no real much religion there, so.
Mm. Yeah, there's been some changes in China just recently with the status of the church there, which is
Mhm.
I think been difficult for people. So do you know if he's still in Utah now or is he back in China?
He went back to China, but he comes to Salt Lake because he wants to continue to practice our church.
Okay.
Um, but I know, no, he's in China now because they changed things.
Yeah.
So then when they changed things, he's like, I'm gonna go back to China. And so now he's in China, but he's a really strong member of the church. But yeah,
Fantastic. Well, so that's two very good converts you taught there. I thought we just had one. Now we've got two. Were there more?
there were actually on Temple Square, there's a lot. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people who are like that. There's like everyone's like, you have an easy mission. I was like, in a way, it is easy, in a way, it's not.
Mm,
So, but there were many like that.
yeah.
But there were also people who were hard. We had a lot of Bible bashers.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Tell, tell, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, during general conference time, when there's general conference, there's a lot of people who like to, especially Christian groups, they come into the conference center because as sister missionaries in Temple Square, we usher or we show people around so that they can get to their seats
Sure.
to general conference. And many times there are people who are Bible bashers, and sometimes even before we do general conference, they come in with their big tour group, and we take them around and we show them, and we were gonna teach them. I remember this one instance, me and my companion were, showing them around Temple Square, and we're gonna teach them something, but then I felt the Spirit say that something's wrong because it didn't feel right. And he started bashing us about everything we told him and telling us this is wrong. You guys are preaching false doctrine and all this stuff. And I felt the Spirit tell me that he's not ready. He is not ready to in all this stuff. And I was like, I looked at my companion and I said, Sister, we need to go. And I said, it was wonderful to meet you. Have a good day. That was the end of the conversation. But we had many like that, especially outside when there was general conference. If you go to the conference center during general conference time, they have a line that they can't cross. So the people who are bashing or doing interesting things, they can't cross the line because that's church property.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have actually been to General Conference um,
Yeah.
once. Let me think if I've been once or twice. I think I've just been once. I've been to Salt Lake City twice myself, and the second
Hmm.
trip was during General Conference. So I did get to see those people who they hold up placards and
Yeah.
they try and you know pass out information to people, and they try and engage with members of the church who are going to General Conference. And so for some reason they have a bee in their bonnet about something they misunderstand about the church perhaps, or about the gospel, or about the early leaders of the
Hmm.
church or something. And they think, I honestly think they are well intentioned in a way, in that they think they are doing the right thing, but
Yeah.
sadly, I think they probably do more harm to themselves than they do to anybody, because it's really just, I think, very rude. I mean, it's very rude to
Yeah.
go and stand outside someone's church and start saying all this stuff. I mean, it's just very rude, and it's a pity they do that. I have heard of a few different things that happen. I have heard about the bagpiper. Uh,
Oh yeah, the
yeah,
bagpipes. Ooh.
there, there's a guy there who's a member of the church. He goes and he
Oh
goes and
yeah.
he goes and stands sort of near them and plays the bagpipes so that they can't be heard,
Yeah, exactly. I
which is
think
sort of
I
funny.
remember, yeah, I remember right before I served on Temple Square. I was going to the MTC before. My parents took me. They're like, "We want to go around with your mission before you actually get there." And so we went to a general conference before I went to the MTC. And me and my dad, we were walking, and right by we see this guy with the bagpipes and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. He's trying to be nice and make sure no one can hear the rest of the random things." So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I have also heard of other members who take food along to give to the people who are protesting against the church. They take them food because they must be hungry and
Yeah.
thirsty, all that yelling and screaming they're doing out there. You know, so
Yeah.
it's sort of funny. Look, it's sad, it's funny, but as I said, I think those people,
Yeah.
I think those people genuinely think they're doing the right thing because they believe the
Yeah.
church is really bad and people are we're trapped inside the church. It's a cult, all that sort of stuff. So I think they think they're
Yeah.
doing the right thing. Sadly misled.
Exactly.
Sadly misled.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so um, do you have any other stories you want to share with us about people who you taught on
Yeah,
Temple
of
Square,
course.
or other stories from other parts of your mission, or whatever you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, of course. So I think I remember. So this is one that's not like he got baptized and woo. So
Yeah,
this is one that we met. I think it was my last transfer in my mission. And in your last transfer, like I'm trying to do everything I can. I'm gonna do all the things. I'm gonna do everything. This is my last chance. And so I
yeah,
was trying really hard. And we met this guy, and we were assigned in the conference center, and um it was in the auditorium. And usually when you're in the auditorium, you teach, if it comes up, you can teach them about like prophets and stuff like that. You tell them, this is how many seats there are and stuff like that. And we met this guy, and we told him about this, and then we were teaching him about the Book of Mormon and stuff. And I felt inspired to ask him, "Would you like to come to church with us?" And he was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." And so then we got his information. We got a new contact, and then you couldn't see, like I was trying to contain my face of how excited I was in myself that we got a new contact.
yeah.
And after that, we it was the next day was Sunday. And so we waited for 30 minutes, and we were like, "Oh no, he's not coming. That's so sad." And then he came, and we
Mm.
were like, we left church. We left the church building just a little, like, so we were like, "We're gonna be late, but it's okay because we're gonna go find our friend." And so we went, and we found his name was Cyrus, and his girlfriend. They were both inactive, and they left the church.
Oh, yeah,
So we took him to church, explaining to him about all this stuff because he didn't really know about like what we told him a little bit about the sacrament meeting and stuff like that. And so we told him about sacrament and stuff and all the talks. And for us, like it was a really good experience to share about him for the gospel. And he seemed a little skeptical, and we were kind of like, oh no, like no, like you need to like I was no, but the after we invited him, like after church, we asked him, do you have any questions? And he was like, no, no, it was good and stuff like that. And he was kind of just like, I don't know how I feel. And then we were like, well, you can go to the music and the spoken word, and we can teach you more about the gospel, and we can like help you come back if you want. He's like, well, seems nice, but I don't really know. And I was like, well, we both were trying to help him and stuff, but just felt like it wasn't his time, and so it was okay. But that, not, I'm trying to, my point is not every person on Temple Square is like, oh my gosh, like I want to join the church, you know? And so this particular person was very, he had potential, but he just had some things that I think in his heart that were holding him back. And so, from my perspective about this person that we were teaching, is we did the best we could for him. We did the best we could, honestly.
Yeah.
And it was up to him if he was going to accept that or not. And so we invited him to pray. And we said, well, we hope you had a good experience at Temple Square. We hope you have a good day. And if you're interested, music in the spoken word is just at the time it was in the conference center. And so we were like, you can go and you can do this and stuff. But we even asked him, and his girlfriend was like, no, I don't think we want to. And I was like, that's okay. It's your decision. And so we did the best we could, but I know the spirit made up the rest and all of these things. And so there's just one story, and that's one of them.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I'm sure there was probably quite a lot of stories like that at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
one of the interesting things about Temple Square, Salt Lake City, is that it is one of the biggest tourist attractions in that part of the United States. And I've been there, and I've seen how many people wander through there, and I've seen all the sister missionaries there. Um, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people to learn a little bit about the church in a sort of a low pressure environment, where they can be quite relaxed and everything. And
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that end up becoming members of the church as a result of that. But there's a lot of people who are just happy to learn the basics and not pursue anything. And it's always
Yeah, exactly.
at the end of the day, it's their decision. It's
Yeah, exactly.
no one can be forced into change their mind. They might already be active members, actively involved in another church, or they might be from a totally different religion. They might be Hindus or Buddhists or something like that. And I'm guessing you've probably got to talk to so many different people from so many different parts of the world while you were serving there. So um,
Yeah.
wonderful stories. Thanks so much for sharing all this with us. Um, and I haven't warned you about this, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions I haven't warned you about now. Um, I often ask people if there's some sort of favourite aspect of the gospel, of the plan of salvation, of the church, that is sort of their thing. And then I would ask you if you'd like to be your testimony to us and tell us
Mhm.
your deepest thoughts and beliefs about what you believe. Could you do that,
Yeah.
and then we'll finish?
Yes. Okay, so the first question I think is what you said is my favorite part of the gospel.
Sure,
It's my favorite, or I'm gonna say favorite part and favorite lesson I taught.
sure.
So my favorite part of the gospel is the atonement. I loved teaching the restoration and talking about how the atonement of Jesus Christ is part of God's plan for us and how we can feel joy because of what he did for us. Because really in our lives, we need to know um, that we can draw strength upon Jesus Christ and forgive and have his strength with us. And also through the Book of Mormon, which is another testament of Jesus Christ, that there's living prophets today and apostles. And that's really a powerful thing because so many people in this world don't know. They just think all just in the Bible, it's Abraham, and the Bible is amazing and it's wonderful. But we also have something else that also gives us power and to know that God is real. And that's one of my favorite parts is that God knows us so much, is that he didn't want to leave us like that. He wanted to have something more. He wanted to have something so that we could progress and to learn. And so he provided this restoration for us so that we could keep going and we could keep learning. And that's why he brought Joseph Smith, is to restore what was lost. And that's one of my favorite things that I saw, that was the most amazing thing, especially the Book of Mormon as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's been wonderful talking to you today, Christina. It's Sunday evening in the United States. It's Monday morning here in Australia. Uh, and it's been a great way for me to continue on because I just taught my early morning seminary class this morning. I got to meet with some young people. We do it a couple of times a week, and these are people who are a little bit younger than you, of course. They haven't quite reached the stage of being able to serve as missionaries yet, but we like to think that we're helping them prepare to serve as missionaries so that if and when they make the decision to serve as missionaries themselves, they have, like you have had a little bit of preparation. I guess you attended seminary through your youth as well.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for sharing this time with us, and hopefully it's been a good way for you to finish your Sabbath day.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Thanks, Christina. We'll be in touch, and I'm sure lots of people will enjoy listening to you tell these stories about serving the Salt Lake Temple Square Mission. Thank you once again.
Mhm.
Bye bye.
Of
Bye bye.
course. Bye.